Good afternoon, all.
Hello,
Sorry.
good afternoon, guys.
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Thanks. Yourself?
Pretty good. We've got a little bit of sun up here in Scotland, so it's making me happy.
It's that day of the year, is it?
Yes.
Ooh, yes. It's getting the jibs in early. I like it.
Absolutely. Thanks for putting this on, guys.
You're welcome.
Oh,
we couldn't have done it without so many people, so thank you everyone for being involved. The room is starting to fill up. This is great.
And you're going to have to start dancing or something, I feel like. Got to keep everyone entertained.
I think that's something that you could do, Gillian, if you fancied it.
No, it's only 10 in the morning here. Hit me up at 4 p.m. my time, and I'll be in much better shape for that.
I got you. Okay. Right, I have just one more link, and then I am ready.
Is there going to be instant messaging on during the presentations, or?
Yes, we will explain that, Steve. Hi, Steve. But we will have a chat on, so we will be, as a team, we will be sucking out key information from the chat that is coming in. So yes, feel free to use the chat box. We'll talk about that a bit, or maybe Carolyn will a bit about logistics when in the WebEx at the start.
Excellent.
Super. Glad you made it, mate. Thank you for coming.
I wouldn't miss this one.
No, good to hear. That's what we want to be. We want to be essential.
Good afternoon, ladies. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Awesome.
We're just giving it a couple more minutes, right, Carolyn?
Yep. Just gonna wait, hopefully right until 10.
Yeah, we've accounted for like a 3:05 start time in our timings, so we're okay to wait a few minutes.
Just AKA, stand down, Jillian. We got this.
Well, we got this so far. We've not started yet, but we got this so far. So.
I'm recording,
fantastic.
just FYI, everybody.
Oh, you're recording already? Good Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Don't want to miss anything.
We're recording this. A couple of my colleagues can't join today, so they'll be interested watching the recorded one later.
Fabulous.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. This is Elif.
Hey, Elif.
Hi.
Oh, hey, Elif, how are you?
Hi, Elif.
Hello.
Good to see you too.
Be more Elif. Be more Elif. Be more Elif.
Hey, hello everyone, this is Amit.
Okay.
Amit, nice to see you.
Same here, thanks.
We're happy to keep on the microphones just now, guys, but just to let you know, for people who are in there, we are going to mute you all when we get started, with my wonderful colleagues at Qlik who are going to help me with that, of course.
Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing right now that it's 10. Meetup captains, do you all feel ready to go ahead and start this meetup?
I'm ready.
Okay.
George, are you ready?
Raring to go. Never been readier.
Andrew, are you ready?
Oh, good. Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
All right. Brian, feel free to go ahead. I've made you host and presenter, so feel free to share your deck.
Okay.
Everybody else, a quick note for questions and chat. We will be using the chat to take questions. Please direct your questions to everyone. So when you're in the chat, you have the option to send privately to somebody, but please, if you have a question, address it to everyone so that we can make sure we're not missing anything and that our lovely meetup captains can make sure that they're seeing all the questions that come in. And for the time being, please make sure you're on mute so that our captains can go ahead without any technical difficulties. And thanks everyone for joining.
Okay, can someone give me a sense check that they can see my deck first of all? That's the first thing.
I can see it, yeah.
Yep.
All right, grand.
All good.
See it. Good stuff.
Brian, really quick, now that I've handed over the host capabilities to you, can you just make sure that we're still recording since I can no longer see that privilege?
I will surely double check that, Caroline. Yes.
Yes, it is.
Recording is in progress.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you.
So that is fantastic. I see lots of things coming through on chat as well. So if someone can keep on top of that for me, that'd be great. Right, well, guys, it is now 3:02 British Summer Time, and it is Friday, the 10th of April, which can only mean one thing. At last, it is Qlik Virtual Meetup Scotland, episode 1. So we have. It was quite funny. We were looking at the title, and then we realised very quickly that there was a QVS in there somewhere. For those of you who are Qlik acquainted. In terms of QlikView script, so we chucked an M in there and managed to make it something that was relatively close to a Qlik acronym, which we thought was quite good. But we're super excited to be here. This is episode 1. My name is Brian Booden. Hello, everyone. You find out more about me and my co-captains, the inimitable George Beaton and the fantastic Andrew McKilrick, who have worked night and day to bring you this virtual meetup, which we believe is the first one of its kind in the kind of COVID era. So we're very proud to be here. So a little bit of chat about today. We're due to finish around sort of 4:30 British summertime as well. So that's about an hour and a half from now. We have a little bit of wiggle time there, but we'll give you a little bit of an intro. And that'll be me to start with. And we do have a pretty special guest that we haven't been advertising on social media that we're pretty excited about having as well. We'll then kind of flip the ball over to Gillian or Carolyn just to say a few words about the virtual meetups and the Luminary program. Carolyn and Gillian have been incredible in the way that they have supported us so far in both sets of ventures. So, and a thank you in advance for them. Then we're going to get into some really serious stuff. We're very lucky to have the head of innovation. She can correct her title when she comes on. The AVP of Design and Innovation, Elif Tutuk of Qlik, who's going to tell us about some of the incredible features that are exist in QlikSense just now, and maybe a little glimpse into the future as well. So we're very excited about that. We then will be collating questions. So if you have questions, you can put them in the chat when Elif or Stephen is presenting, and we'll sort of try to get through as many of those as we can in the limited time that we have for Q&A. And then for our keynote 2, well, we've got Stephen Redmond, another man that needs no introduction, one of the original luminaries, And also a little known fact, one of the first people that I spilt a drink over when I went to the Barcelona Qlik Sense boot camp several years ago. So that's how I was introduced to Stephen at the time. So he's got a great presentation about the history of pie charts, which he's going to tell us about a bit later on. We'll then get a chance to grill Stephen, which I'm sure he's looking forward to as well. And we do have some news on our next meetup and a few little notes to deal with it at the end as well, and we'll go to close from there. So I hope that works for everyone. Like I say, about 90 minutes we're aiming to run for today, and we'll see how this format works going forward as well. So it's the obligatory "this is about us" slide. My name is Brian Bouden. I'm my co-captains. We've been running Qlik meetups in Scotland and Edinburgh, Glasgow for the last better part of the last 2 years now. We've run 4 or 5. But we kind of saw the opportunity to take this thing virtual, and we're really pleased to be here with you. We're all Qlik luminaries, which we're very, very proud of, and 3 different companies there. We've got myself at DataGlow IT, we've got George at FTI Consulting, and we've got Andrew, who works for Differentia Consulting as well. So we're all really pleased. George, Andrew, I don't know if you want to say a few words of hello at this point as well, George.
Yep, thank you very much, Brian. Yep, delighted to be here. This, as you say, this has been quite a bit of work to put together. We've been testing the format over the last month now, since we came up with the idea. And yeah, I think I'm just about as excited as you are, Brian, maybe more so, to get this kicked off today. Can't wait. Start of an amazing thing, I think.
Thanks, George. Yeah, I'm exactly the same, just duplicate what Brian and George has said. Delighted this is a great turnout, especially in the circumstances of this being a holiday and people working from home, and obviously what's happening in the global economy, but it's great to see this interest in Qlik and our Qlik meetups as well.
Thank you very much, guys. This is awesome, and I'd like to extend a personal thank you to you guys as well, because there's no way that I could have done this without you, and I don't think there's any way that we could have done it if we hadn't all worked together. So great job so far, and hopefully, like I say, this is a recurring thing for us going forward, and we've got some news on that later. Okay, so how have we gotten to this point? Well, we've spammed LinkedIn a lot over the last couple of weeks. This event has come together very, very quickly, and just to give you an idea, we've probably managed to do it in the space of a week to 2 weeks in terms of getting speakers, agreeing speakers, organising the WebEx, getting everyone invited, spending 24 hours a day on LinkedIn, getting it all promoted. And as you can see, we've garnered quite a lot of likes and comments there. There's been a bit of video editing done and quite a lot of skills learned along the way. So hopefully we can sort of polish this up for you as we go along. But we're, in general, we are absolutely delighted to be representing Scotland, the Meetup programme, the Qlik Luminary programme, and we would encourage anyone who wants to get involved in those programmes to kind of touch base with either ourselves or Carolyn and Gillian, either at the end of the meeting or whenever you see fit. So I guess that's a little bit about us and a little bit about how this meetup has come together to start with. So one thing that we've noticed is that in the past we've usually had a special guest to introduce our meetups in the beginning. So we've managed to do that again, and it's going to take me a little bit of jiggery unless Carolyn or one of the other captains have the video to hand and have it easily playable. If you don't, that's fine, but I'll just need to switch my screen for a sec if that's the case.
I
Carolyn,
think I can do it. Yep.
Okay. Do you want to grab the ball then, Carolyn, and you can present without further ado our special guest?
Yes. Okay.
I hope you've got a drum roll ready.
There we
All
go.
Right. Here we go. Everyone, it's pretty important that you're on mute at this point so that there is no
Okay,
echoing.
I am going to do that right now. Thank you for reminding me, Carol.
Sure. Okay, can someone just chat and let me know that they can see my screen or see my video?
Yep, I'm seeing that.
Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and play it. All right, Brian, the presenting role is back to you.
Okay, great. So you can hear me again, Carolyn, right?
Yep,
okay,
loud and clear.
Great. Well, that makes it easy for me because I can literally just throw it back to you again because I thought this would be a great time for you or Gillian to say a few words about the Luminary and Meetup programs.
Sure, yep. So hi, everyone. Welcome to the very first Virtual Qlik Meetup. For those of you who maybe aren't familiar with me, my name is Carolyn Davis. I'm part of the Qlik customer marketing team, and I help to run advocacy programs like Qlik Meetups and, of course, the Qlik Luminary program. So I'm sure you're all familiar with our Qlik Luminary program. It's our, champions of Qlik. These luminaries have such great passion for our technology, and, they really do lead the way. They are our lighthouses. In the Meetup program, it's just great to see so much overlap with the luminaries here. The Scotland Meetup is pretty cool to have our luminaries all be captains in this sense. So it's really great to see, and we are really happy to kind of figure out a way that we can keep having this Meetup network run even in times like this where we actually can't be physically meeting up. So this is our very first virtual meetup, so there may be a couple technological bumps along the way. So, stick with us as we figure it all out. But welcome everyone, and thank you, so much. I'm looking forward to being a part of this meetup and all the future ones.
That's awesome, Carolyn. Thank you very much for that. And like I say, we said it before, but we'll say it again. Thank you so much for your support and assistance to get to this point. It's been a huge team effort to get here in such a short period of time, and we will get better. But we can't do it without you guys. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
So I mean, we thank Carolyn and we thank Gillian. But I think that I'll see if I can take the presenter back now, Carolyn. Did you put me back over on that already?
Yep.
Okay.
We're good to go.
All right. Okay, so we had our special guest, and wow, it's the first of a few special guests today. This is pretty awesome. So I guess without further ado, we're going to bring in Elif, and so the one thing I know about Elif Tutuk is this lady can present. So I remember being at Connections last year when on the keynote stage, and I don't know who else remembers this. You can maybe put it in the chat if you remember this, but Elif did this demo with big data where they brought up like 80 billion rows with the Insight Advisor on stage. And it just blew me away at the time in terms of what it did and how fast it worked. It was incredible. So I'm not saying that we will see that today, but I think it's fantastic that Elif has come here today to tell us a little bit about what's happening in QlikSense and also some of the future innovations that Qlik are currently involved in. So Elif, if you're there, we'll throw it over to you and just let me know if you need anything.
Oh, great. No, thank you very much, Brian. So hello, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen. Could you please confirm that you can see my screen?
All good, Elif. Yep.
All right, great. Again, hello, everyone. It's a great pleasure to have the chance to virtually meet with all of you. As Brian said, my title is correct. I'm the AVP of Qlik Innovation and Design. I've been with Qlik for 10 years now, and before that, I was actually a customer using QlikView. My journey with Qlik started with QlikView 9. I think I was one of the first users who found some bugs with the set analysis at that time. So just one thing about me, I love the product and I love the technology and the innovations that we are doing. And yeah, so I look forward to the next 35 minutes. There's so much things to show. And so I will do my best to be able to cover some of the things that I think it will be great for you to know. So first of all, the legal disclaimer. So some of the things that I will be showing, first of all, I won't be able to share so much about feature as it is a very open environment in here. But I highly suggest that you join Qlik World virtual event because there I will be showing some of the more things looking forward. But even from this presentation, please keep in mind that some of the things that I'm showing here may change. So what I would like to do is, actually, I'm going to spend maybe 5–10 minutes on some of the slides, kind of giving you a view in terms of our vision and where we would like to take the technology and why Qlik is unique right now in the market. And then obviously I will do some of the product demos. So getting into 2020, our goal is to really focus on 3 things. So as you know, since 20-some year, Qlik, we have been doing analytics, and especially with our unique associative engine, really have a unique position in there. But as you know, in the last 2 years, we have been doing acquisitions in the data integration area as well. So our goal is to really to provide a full platform where the user can go from raw data with the data integration capabilities to analytics-ready data, then make that analytics-ready data available to all of the data consumers and I'm referring that as the making analytics-ready data business-ready, and then really using the analytics capabilities to gain insights. And on top of that, data literacy is a very important vision for us. When I say data literacy, it's someone's ability to be able to read, work, analyze, and argue with the data. And I'm super excited that now we have actually data literacy as a service. So when you subscribe to Qlik SaaS offering, then data literacy becomes as part of that. So with those 3 points, our goal is to really close the gap between the relevant data and actionable data, and then actionable data to actionable insights, and overall making sure that you are getting all of the value from a data and analytics platform. So with that, I really like this slide. It is kind of an awesome way to summarize what is Qlik's unique offering right now. Right now, Qlik is the only independent vendor out there who provides the full spectrum, where you can go, you can actually free the data with the enterprise data integration capabilities. And then with the Qlik Data Catalyst, by leveraging the catalog capability, you can enable your consumers, data consumers, to easily find data. And the way that I refer this as, it's literally having a self-service data marketplace where you can shop for the data, and I will be doing some demos from that. And then obviously with the augmented analytics and augmented intelligence capabilities that is in the product, our users can easily understand and get insights from the data. And finally, with the embedded analytics capabilities, we are in a position where you can embed the insights into workflows and action on it. And overall, all of those free it, find it, understand it, and action it, the way that we are doing is always through the governed environment. So trust and security and governance is very important. So I will do a couple slides covering the roadmap. So again, I want to emphasize that right now we have the technology that covers the full data and analytics supply chain. So on the data side, with the acquisition that we have done with the Etunity product, we have the capability where our users now, like data engineers, data ops, can create real-time data analytics pipeline. So I will be also doing a demo from the Etunity Qlik product as well, where I would like to show you how easy for a user to replicate data and then create real-time data pipelines. And one of the unique things about Etunity technology is its change data capture capability, which means that the system automatically generates the logic in the ETL to be able to reflect all of the changes that are happening in the source data in the target data, so that your users, they don't have to wait for the batch reloads. They can actually get real-time data with the changes that are happening. Another important capability and the product in the data portfolio is Qlik Data Catalyst. Qlik Data Catalyst is a smart data catalog that has the profiling capability with algorithms. So when you onboard a data set to Qlik Data Catalyst, the system runs algorithms on the data, and then it literally makes the metadata searchable and available to your consumers. But it also has the capabilities in terms of making sure that the data is secure. It has like data masking capabilities, all the things that you will be expecting from a modern catalog platform. In the middle is the analytics capabilities that we have, and I don't have to emphasize our unique offering in there with the associative technology. The way that I see is that through the analytics, especially by combining the associative engine with Qlik Cognitive Engine, we are in a position where really enabling our users with data literacy. For me, really, the use of the cognitive technology that we have been making investment in the last 2 years, or maybe 2.5 years, is really to increase the data literacy capabilities of every user, where they can literally just have a conversation with their data by using natural language, and then building a system that understands the user's intent so that it can always provide contextualized insights and with the capability to be able to learn from the user so that the insights that the system generates become much more relevant by time. And finally, in terms of delivering the insights, again, I said we have the conversational analytics capabilities with Qlik Insight, but obviously we have the dashboarding capabilities and self-service and reporting capabilities. So this is the full spectrum, and I will be doing the demos from this full spectrum. So in terms of our 2020 strategic product initiatives, like there are 5 areas that we are making the investment. The first one is having a SaaS platform. I'm super excited with what we have achieved with our cloud native SaaS platform. So right now you can have QlikSense running on-prem, but if you would like to start having a hybrid cloud approach, you can actually use our SaaS platform where we have actually modernized the whole backend technology by using Kubernetes and containers, so that you can actually have a scalable analytics platform. So our goal with our SaaS offering is to really provide a multi-cloud approach where we are not cornering our users where they have to use either on-prem or cloud. You can actually have a multi-cloud or a hybrid approach. And also, like our cloud offering can work with any cloud provider. So if you would like to use Microsoft Azure or AWS, it's up to our customers to whatever environment they want to choose to run this highly scalable environment. But what truly excites me about our SaaS platform is the scalability. Like in R&D, we continue to do tests, and like I've seen cases where how the system actually automatically decides to turn on additional nodes when there's a peak usage time. And let's say every Monday morning, every beginning of the month, and you have maybe like a peak time in your environment. So which means with the scalable cloud native platform, the system can actually decide to scale additional nodes and then turn them off. So this is a huge opportunity for our customers to decrease their total cost of ownership. The other area is the delightful experience, and this is where you actually see a lot of investment from our side to close the gap between QlikView and QlikSense. And I will be covering some of the things, but I'm super excited to tell you that over the last 2 releases, we have released 86 new visualization and advanced authoring features. Like literally the R&D team is cooking on gas. So I won't be able to cover all of them, obviously, but I suggest that you go to Qlik community, check every releases that we have. There's awesome things that are happening. The third area is insights to action. This is where my heart is really into it. This is where we are innovating a great technology with cognitive engine to generate insights. And then I will talk about this more. In terms of viral adoption, this is about the SaaS experience, like how we create these awesome SaaS experience that we create the hook with the user. Like as a user, the most valuable thing that you have is your time and your data. So you are making those investments in our platform. So we have to make sure that there's a reason for you to come back. And one of the main things that we are looking here is to create that hook is the alerting capability. As you know, we have acquired an awesome technology beginning of this year, Rox AI, with the augmented alerting capabilities, and you will see awesome things coming in the second half of the year with that. And the final part is where I will be doing a lot of demos for this, is the governed data analytics pipeline. So this is the area where we are looking at combining the Qlik data integration capabilities with Eternity, like Qlik Replicate and Compose, where we create the intelligent data analytics pipeline and then combine them with cognitive engine to generate insights from the data that as soon as the data change happens in the data. So I think there are three things that I would like to take you out of this presentation is, especially during this time, it's very important for us to think about, the importance of data and analytics, and also the speed to insight. So we need to make sure that we are using the data and analytics platform where the time where you can go from raw data to analytics ready data, and then your users can get insights from that data should be literally in continuous and real time. And I'm super proud that I will be showing some of the examples of those. The other one important, this is an uncertain time. I'm pretty sure every one of your customers, users are using about the total cost of ownership. So it's important that you make sure that you have an environment where it is basically, as I mentioned, it's overall scalable, and then it first of all handles the larger volumes of data and users that you have, but then the system can automatically scale up and down, and that is where our unique hybrid cloud platform is going to be an important factor. And I also would like to tell you that now QlikView is actually on the is available on the cloud as well, and I will be doing a demo on that as well. And then the final one is increased data visibility. I mean, I'm pretty sure with COVID-19, you already start seeing the concerns about data privacy, the importance of data, but also the privacy. And it is very important to have a governed system where actually your users can understand where the data comes from, what does the data mean, who's using it, and what's the best way of using that. Again, I don't want to spend the time going through the slides, but maybe a couple things that I want to highlight. Again, on the analytics area, please pay attention on all of the improvements that we are doing on the visualizations. We have an exciting feature called dynamic views that I'm going to show that is going to help our users to get real-time insights from data. And also be able to support larger volumes of data. I'm actually going a little bit faster in here. The other thing that I want to highlight is, how all of those technology that we have in terms of the data integration and then the catalog capability and the analytics capabilities are coming into play. So one thing that I want to highlight, if you haven't had the chance to look at the Qlik Data Catalyst, please do so. So a couple things that I want to highlight. Qlik Data Catalyst now supports QVDs. I used to be a Qlik customer, and I know how challenging sometimes it can be to manage the QVDs, but more importantly, to make them available to the business users so that they can actually use them to gain insights from the data. So Qlik Data Catalyst now supports a QVD, and there's a version of it that just supports QVD, which means that you can actually have a self-service data market for the QVDs where your users can easily search them. And the other nice thing about Qlik Data Catalyst is the ease of use, seeing the data lineage and all of the information that's about the data. And then one other thing that I want to highlight in terms of the data integration capabilities, one thing that we are looking at right now is generating QVDs as well from the data integration platform with the data replication and data warehouse automation. And the final thing that I want to highlight from the overall is where is the my team's focus right now is mostly on how we leverage the unique IP that we have from the Qlik Eternity product with the change data capture, and then combine that with smart data profiling from Qlik Data Catalyst and Qlik Cognitive Engine. So I just want to give you an example. Like imagine having this analytics platform where your users can actually get real-time insights, which I will be showing you. But then on top of that, by leveraging the Cognitive Engine, the system automatically knows all of the data lineage information. So assume that when there's a change in the SAP data, the system automatically knows what Qlik apps has that data, and then automatically push a refresh on those apps. And then your users, they don't only get real-time up-to-date insights, but they will be also seeing additional insights, for example, like how many new customers since the last time the data has changed, and what's the total revenue of those customers. Like those types of very specific change data capture type of insights will be available from the platform as well. And those are the things that where you will start seeing more and more innovations from us. So with that, I believe, Brian, please correct me, I have 15, 20 minutes. Is that correct, or am I off?
Yeah, that's about right, Elif. Yeah, about 15, 20 minutes, yeah.
Okay, okay. So what I would like to do is in the demo, I want to go back. So I'm going to start with data, and I want to show you how you can very easily with the platform capability, you can convert the raw data to analytics ready data. So for that, the first thing that I would like to show is the Eternity Replicate. So Eternity Replicate is the product where you can automate and create real-time data analytics pipeline. So, and it's very easy to use the product, and the whole idea about the Eternity product data integration is to automate the process of creation of data warehouse, data mart, and also data replication. So in this demo, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create a task where I would like to move SAP operational data into Snowflake. And as you see, when I create a new task, the system automatically checks the full load, because my goal as a user is to unlock the power or the power of the operational data that's in SAP, and then move it to a high-performing cloud-based data warehouse. So I'm going to do a full load, but as you can see, the system also has the apply changes logic in place, which means that the system automatically is going to generate the ETL logic to capture every time there's a change in SAP. It is automatically going to reflect that into Snowflake. So I'm going to hit OK. And I just love this user interface. It's very easy. I'm not going to write a single code of ETL because it has been years that I wrote ETL code. It's all drag and drop. So I'm going to first define that I want to use the SAP ERP application as my source, and then Snowflake on AWS as my target. The next thing that I want to do is table selection. So I'm going to select the tables that I would like to replicate. And let me do a search. So these are all of the tables, and I'm going to replicate all of them. And now all I need to do is just click run. So now what is happening, to replicate is creating the ETL logic by looking at the source table definitions in SAP, and then automatically creating those tables in the Snowflake, and also creating the ETL logic to be able to replicate all of that data. And on top of that, it is also creating the logic to be able to capture all of the data changes real time from SAP to Snowflake. And now the system has already automatically moved me to the monitoring side. As you can see, it started moving data, and it's just incredibly performant. You have already seen like the tables that it started moving. And then once this data full load happens, it's going to start creating the change processing. So what this means is this is literally this easy to be able to create data replication. So I'm pretty sure you have data engineers, data hubs, ETL teams, right? So with this technology, you can literally decrease the times that it takes days and weeks to do data replication or creation of a data warehouse or a data mart. But more importantly, what I want to emphasize, this is the technology where you can actually start do real-time insights, which means that your users, they don't have to wait for a batch reload because all of the changes will be real-time, be replicated in the Snowflake in this case, or by leveraging the, again, Eternity Compose product. You can actually also create data warehouses or data marts with this as well on top of that data. Again, given we have very limited time, I'm not going to spend more time, but if you want to create also like data warehouses, data marts, by leveraging the Compose product, you can actually automate that process. And this is also, again, all drag and drop, and without writing a single line of ETL, because the data takes, the system takes care of that, you can create those analytics ready data sets. So now I know you're wondering, okay, like, how this ties to the analytics part. And this is where I'm super excited to show you the new feature called Dynamic View. So right now, what I just have done, right, I moved the SAP data to Snowflake. It's literally unlocking the power of the operational data. And now as a user, what I can do is by leveraging the Dynamic View capability, I can actually have real-time access to the data. So what you're seeing on the screen on the left side is a chart that uses the in-memory data. On the right side, you have two charts. Those charts, they don't have any data yet, but let me make a selection. And now I'm just going to refresh these charts. Now, what is happening, these charts, by using the Dynamic View capability, they have created a real-time connection to Snowflake by passing the in-memory. It is literally querying the Snowflake data to get the real-time information from the Snowflake data. And this is, voila, Right now, the inventory level is 1.1 million. So this is a great capability for our customers, providing a hybrid approach. Because when you think about it, if you are using a high-performing database like Snowflake, you will be paying for your execute time, right? As much as you use Snowflake because it's high-performing, but every time you hit a query in Snowflake, you will be paying cost. It's going to be a cost for you. What we are doing in here, by providing our users a capability where they can actually leverage the awesome things that Snowflake provides, but then you also have the choice that you can still have the data in memory. So at any point, again, as a user, I'm just going to refresh it. I just love it. Now it's going to, again, hit the Snowflake, and then it's going to get the data in real time about the new inventory levels. So you can use the dynamic view with Snowflake, with SAP HANA, or with any other data sources. And the beauty of this is the hybrid approach. You are not losing the associative power. You are not losing the in-memory. With this feature, you are actually have the power of combining the in-memory data with the real-time data that you are hitting the backend data sources. So that was a quick recap for you to see how you can actually leverage a platform like Affinity, where you can create data analytics pipeline for the real-time data movement. And then you can provide your users real-time insights by leveraging the capability like dynamic view. Okay, so in the second part, if I go back to my slide, I would like to talk about the data catalog, Qlik Data Catalyst, because I see that as an important piece between the, and I just need to refresh my environment. Just give me 1 second. And just need to log in. So why I want to talk about Qlik Data Catalyst is because what we have just seen is we just created raw data and make it analytics ready. And then now the idea is how you make that analytics ready data available to your data consumers. And this is where a capability like Qlik Data Catalyst becomes very important, because you need to democratize that data in a governed and secure manner. And Qlik Data Catalyst is a perfect part making that happen. So what you're seeing on the screen is the catalog part of Qlik Data Catalyst. Each tile represents a data set. And by the way, Qlik Data Catalyst knows my access and security information. So I'm only seeing the data sets that I'm allowed to see. And by the way, surprisingly, there are QVDs in my data set, right? So Qlik Data Catalyst, it doesn't only support all the other data types, but it also supports the QVDs. Now, imagine your users coming in here and literally doing shopping for their data in a governed manner. So I would like to find any data that has SAP in it. So now I just did a search, and the system is showing me the data sets that I have access to that relates to SAP. So one thing that I want to highlight here, I love this experience where there are like for each data set, there are 3 scores. The first score shows the operational, like how fresh this data. The second one is quality. What I love is the popularity. So it shows how frequently this data set are being used by my other colleagues. So for any data set, I can actually go into the data set. Like I can see the sample data, which is very important for any users just to understand what type of data is this. And also I can see the data lineage information. Like right away, I can see that this data has been replicated by, and also by using Compose, has moved from SAP to Snowflake, and then has been onboarded to Qlik Data Catalyst to do some more transformation, and then has been published as a QVD. But then I also want to say that Qlik Data Catalyst, you can use it with any other SQL-based visualization tools like Tableau. I don't know why we ever want to use a product like Tableau or Power BI, but this is also like this technology, you can use it with other SQL-based visualization tools as well. So I want to go back to catalog, and I just want to show you some magic. So let's say that I have a data set that relates to COVID-19. So I just want to do a search. And here's one data set. With one click, I'm going to add it to my shopping cart. And again, I love this experience. I'm literally putting things to my shopping cart without using my credit card. And now on this data set, I can actually take an action. There are a couple actions, like I can do more preparation on this data, but more importantly, with one click, I can publish this data to Qlik Sense. So let me show it to you. So when I click on this, now on the fly, the system is taking me to QlikSense, and it carried my login information. It created an app and then pushed that data, the QVD. And when I go to Insight Advisor, with one click, I'm just going to tell the system to generate me insights from that data, and voila, right away with 2 clicks, I'm now able to see information about this COVID-19 data, where I can start analyzing the death rates. Unfortunately, it is not a pleasant thing to look, but it is about analytics, and then start getting the insights. So now I want you to imagine an environment where your business users can come here and then shop for their data, and then literally when they find the data sets that they would like to analyze, just with one click, they can publish it to Qlik. Okay, I know I'm going fast, but this is the second part where I want you to take, it's not like we have a technology that provides to convert the raw data to analytics-ready data, but now you can democratize that data by leveraging Qlik Data Canvas. And the final thing that I would like to show is let's come back to Qlik. And making a time check, I think I have 5 minutes. So I need to be careful how to spend the 5 minutes. There's so much awesome things to show. Okay, so the first thing that I want to show is for the customers, or the users on the call who are using QlikView, I have an exciting news. Like now we are supporting QlikView on the same QlikSense native cloud platform, which means that when you come to Hub, this is the QlikSense Cloud Hub, your users are not only going to see QlikSense apps, but they are also going to see the QlikView apps. So we are providing a unified entry point for your analytics users. So, and I'm going to click this on QlikView app, and on the fly, the QlikView app, it's going to open. It is the same QlikView app that all the things that we love about QlikView, like guided experience and other things. But what just happened is this QlikView app has been opened on a QlikSense cloud server. So there's no QlikView server running behind, which means that now your users, or if you're a user of a QlikView, you can actually do a cost reduction in your environment and just leverage the QlikSense cloud servers, platform, to be able to maintain both QlikSense and QlikView in the same environment. And this is just going to awesome, because which means that now our QlikView users and customers can leverage the performance, the scalability, and cost reduction benefit of our native cloud platform. So this is a good news for our QlikView customers. Now I want to shift gear, and I want to show you a couple improvements that we have been doing from our visualization environment. So again, there has been like 86 new visualization and advanced authoring capabilities. And I highly suggest that you take a look at them. But a couple things that I want to highlight. So we have a concept called modifier. So on any QlikSense chart, now on any metric, you can come and then, as you see, there's a modifier. Now with one click, I can actually generate the accumulative line, moving average, or difference. And with one click, I'm just going to create an accumulative chart in here, where I can easily see now the effect of my sales. I can make a selection. The other thing that I want to highlight, which I love, is the custom tooltip, which enables me to get much more information from a single data point. And we also have on the roadmap to add more visualization on this custom tooltip. We have other capabilities like visual indicators. The spark line is also coming. So again, I highly suggest that you take a look at those things. And I know one of the unique thing about overall Qlik is our capability to do guided discovery, right? That's one thing good about QlikView, but then we have been also closing the gap between QlikView and QlikSense, and now we have buttons and actions. Those things are also available in QlikSense. And there's a reason, right, why we have the guided discoveries, because our users, when they ask a question, like say international, they can just click on a button and the system automatically applies the right logic, business logic for our users, right? This is because there's an app developer who creates this logic by using the actions and the buttons. Now you can do those things in QlikSense. But I also want to mention that, as we are building our cognitive capabilities, we want to make sure that your users can actually have a conversation with their data in a governed manner. So I want to show you an exciting feature that is coming in soon. And I just want to refresh this. On Cognitive Engine now, as an app developer, you can actually define specific business logic to Cognitive Engine. Just like on the guided discoveries, right? You have been creating buttons and actions so the right selection is to be applied. Now, when the user comes and asks a question, and this is a data set about diagnosis, so let me say that I want to ask a question like show activities over 600. When I ask this question now, the Cognitive Engine actually knows the right business logic to apply it. So not only that, I just ask question, the system has generated an insight for me, like where I can actually get the information about those cases, but the system, Cognitive Engine, knows what type of specific business logic needs to be in place for the user to be able to analyze this information in the right way. So this is an exciting feature that is going to come in soon. But I think one of the feedback that we have been getting are from our users where they want to use Insight Advisor with natural language, but there is also the cases where the system needs to know specific business logic. And by leveraging this new capability of business model and business view, the Cognitive Engine will be able to do that. And the final thing that I want to show, and I promise this is only 1 minute, is the capability where I just fall in love with the Cognitive Engine even more. I have to show it to you in case if you're not aware. So as you know, Insight Advisor, and by leveraging the Cognitive Engine, the system generates insights for our users, where you can literally ask a question, tell the system generate insights, or you can just start clicking some of the fields over here. Maybe you want to see, how many category names exist. I literally use this left panel to be able to explore my data because I can see the data values, the count with, for example, category name, and then the system starts generating insights right away for me. And more importantly, I can just, get other things like maybe I want to see the cost of goods sales. I want to see the description. I can just keep adding fields and then see the content of the field and the insights. But the nice thing is I can just ask the question. So, and I'm lazy and I'm just going to talk to it. So, compare sales and margin by product in Germany. Oh, it even understood my Turkish accent. That's awesome. So as you can see on the fly, I just literally talked to it and the system has generated an insight. And I'm just going to make this even more complex. And I will say not for women wear. So when I ask this question, the system is not only parsing and understanding my natural language, but it also generated the right set analysis logic to generate this insight. And this is where I see the Cognitive Engine really surfacing the power of association and set analysis to our users, which means that as a user, I don't need to know the complex set analysis logic. I can literally just ask my question, and the system is going to generate the right set analysis logic to generate this insight. So let me show it to you. I'm going to add this to a sheet, and let me open this sheet. Did I close that? Oh, sorry about that. Let me go back and then just ask it very quickly again. And then I just want to show you the set analysis logic that the system has generated. I'm just going to create a new sheet and then go in here, go to edit. So when you look at the data, sales, you see that the system has generated the right set analysis logic for me on the fly for the question that I asked. So this is our vision, like of building a cognitive engine to be able to generate insights where the users can literally have a conversation in a governed manner, and then they don't need to know the technicality about how to create a set analysis, what's the dimension, what's the measure. They can literally start engaging with their data. So with that, this is the end of my presentation. I think the final thing that I want to highlight, thank you, Brian, and everyone else making this event happen. We know now that the diseases spread fast, but data-driven knowledge can spread even faster. So if there are 3 things that I want you to take, I think the data and analytics are becoming much more important in this time of uncertainty. And I want you to think about data literacy, having a platform where your users can literally have a conversation with their data. The second thing is the importance of real-time insights. Like, have a platform, it's not only about visualization, but where you can have real-time data integration and real-time insight generation. And then final thing is, it's the time where it's very important to think about having a scalable cloud-native platform with the need of the analytics that we have that can scale and support the big data in an associative manner.
Elif, thank you so much for that. That's been absolutely fantastic. It's interesting you started that off by saying that you started your journey with Qlik as a customer. My journey's been very similar. I started as a customer. I then became an employee for a short time working in their professional services team, and now I'm on the partner side. So it's easy to, for a lot of us who've been there for a long time, it's easy to think of Qlik as QlikView and QlikSense, but the product set is so much more mature now, and it's come so far in these last 10 years. And I've even learned a few things here today, certainly around Trinity Replicate. Looks fantastic. I think the days of our Talend license are now numbered. I'll be having a closer look at that. But I know time is quite short here, so we took quite a few questions during your session. So I think what we'll do, if you don't mind, is we'll take 2 or 3 minutes just to put a couple of these questions to you. If we don't get through all of them, just to let everybody know, we will be publishing this later, and we'll endeavour to get all of the questions answered and sent out afterwards. So Andrew, would you like to jump in with the first question?
Okay, thanks, George. So Elif, thanks for the talk as well. Quite a large spread of questions, some relevant to your presentation and just some generic ones, but an interesting one that Scott asked. With QlikView now available on QlikSense Cloud, is it any time in the future it's likely to be available on an on-prem QlikSense enterprise server?
So, like, I wouldn't say, like, it has been, there has been thoughts on that, but right now the really focus right now is to make sure that it is part of our native cloud platform, and there are things that still the kind of couple things that are being worked on that. So it is kind of on the discussion, but I wouldn't say for sure.
Okay. Okay. A quick question on the Data Catalyst presentation. You showed the quality score, which looks really cool. How is that actually calculated, and can it be customized, and is it under the control of the developer?
Yeah, so I didn't have the chance to show that, but when you onboard a data set to Qlik Data Catalyst, it runs the data quality profiling. It has a lot of algorithms that the tool comes with, so it detects possible the quality issues. So there's a UI where you can actually see the bad and ugly records, but then you can actually, as a data steward or a data engineer, you can actually tell the system that, yes, this is a data quality issue and you can fix it or not. But those are the things that the system provides, but it's not only system generated where the developer or the data engineer can actually make changes. But that is the core capability where we are able to generate those scores for the data.
Okay, thank you. George, you want me to ask another couple, or do you?
I think we've got time for one more.
One more. Okay, I'm going to put the spot now on Erica, who asked a very interesting question about the Trinity product. If you have an ETL process that you've been working on in your developer or development environment, how easy is it to propagate that through test and production environments, or even if you're a partner and you want to share it with other customers, for example?
To be honest, like, I think those are the questions that will be great for me to take offline, and then like to make sure that the right people from the Eternity team can answer those things. So I don't want to like provide anything wrong in terms of like how to, like, I think the question is more about, you have an existing ETL process and how is it to kind of replicate them in Eternity, if I captured that right.
Yeah, and then move that across into production environment, or share it with another customer, for example, as an ETL process.
Yeah, so let's. I suggest that we take those questions offline, and I will make sure that we have provided the answers offline, if that's okay.
Oh, that's great. We've got at least 12 other questions. We'll make sure that we get these sent through and answered. That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just jump in for a second there and to say thank you to George and Andrew for conducting the QA there, and thank you, Elif, for contributing your time and valuable, very valuable insights, literally, as well to the conversation. It'd be great to get your pointers on who might be the best people to kind of follow up on that in a more detailed session going forwards. But thanks very much, Elif.
Thank you.
Right, I will grab shall I just grab the screen for a second and then, let's see. Okay, so Andrew, I wonder if you'd like to kind of link us into the next part. This is a two-pronged superstar attack we have on this first episode. So perhaps you'd like to talk about the prong number 2.
Okay, thanks, Brian. So everybody, I'd like to introduce Stephen Redmond. Just some background on Stephen. I'm not going to say anything embarrassing. He's a top guy. I've known him for a few years. He's obviously a fellow luminary of long standing. He works currently as a senior manager in Accenture Consulting based in Ireland. Stephen, as you know, is very prolific on social media. He posts a lot of really cool material on artificial intelligence, Qlik, machine learning, so many really interesting topics. And he's also an author of some really good books, highly recommended. I've got a few in my room here as well. Without hesitation, I would recommend Stephen's literature if you want to spend some time when you're working at home. So without further ado, I'm going to pass over to Stephen, who's going to be giving us a really interesting talk, I believe, on charts and the history of pie charts.
Thanks, Andrew. Cool. Do I have control?
You can just share anytime, Steve, I think. If you go to your WebEx bar, yep.
Yep. Can you see it?
You are starting to share.
Cool. Hopefully everyone can see my...
Yes. Yeah, we just pinged up just now. Good one.
Awesome. Thanks very much for the introduction. It was great, and thanks, Elif, for the great presentation before. Tough one to follow. So I'm going to talk about something that's close to my heart, and I think Brian kind of presented it well in his video the other day about that I do have a little bit of what we would call in Ireland a graw, a little bit of a love for pie charts, but it hasn't always been that way. So I thought I'd start off with giving a little bit of a tour around my timeline in Qlik and where I've got to, and backed up by a little bit of a pie chart that shows how my love has been, my red-hearted love for pie charts has grown and faded and over the years. So first came across Qlik View back in 2005. There was a chap called Jason Bissell who was working for Qlik. There was about 3 people working for Qlik in the UK at the time, and he came and visited us, and he talked about Qlik. And in 2006, the company I worked for, Cap Ventus, joined the Qlik Partner Program, and we started selling it. It was actually a pretty easy sell at the time. It was great. We did lots of great proof of concepts and showed off all of the people, all the great charts, all the lovely pie charts that you could want, and all of the lovely colors, gaudy, etc. that you want. 2008 got to go to my first connections, which was in the Lowe's Hotel at Miami Beach, which was really interesting for 2 reasons. The first one was that was the year that QlikView announced set analysis, and that actually got a standing ovation from all the techies in the audience, and all the business people didn't have a clue what they were talking about. But it was also interesting because there was a keynote presentation from a chap called Stephen Few, who some of you may have heard of, and at that he explained to us all how pie charts were terrible things, and when I thought about it and I read some of his books and his material, I thought, yeah, he's probably right. These are terrible things, and my love for pie charts diminished. And over the next couple of years, it probably I would have been a real advocate for the kind of anti-pie chart stance that a lot of people still have today, unfortunately. coming along 2010, I came across a website called Eager Eyes, run by a guy called Robert Gazzara, who so Robert is a data visualization expert. At the time he was working in a university, and the year before I had established my Qlik Tips website where I just shared stuff that I learned about Qlik. And then in 2011, following reading something from Robert, I wrote my first blog that actually defended pie charts. So it was a bit of an interesting thing for a lot of people who knew me. They went, well, what the hell is that? 2012 through to 2014, some interesting time with Pack Publishing. First as a technical reviewer for QlikView 11 for developers. A lot of you will know Barry Harmson and Miguel, who wrote that. And in 2013, I created my first Pi gauge as something that I was dabbling with and published on there. 2014, there was 2 of my books were published. There was the QlikView Server and Publisher, and then Mastering QlikView. And I published the extension on QlikBranch that Brian mentioned for the Pi gauges for QlikSense. And of course, 2014 was also the year that I was the first luminary to have a drink spilled on him by Brian Bouden. In 2016, I wrote something called Rules, which was my fundamental rules for data visualization, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. And I started doing some of the initial research that I will talk about here today. 2015, I changed jobs. I joined Deutsche Bank and became a Qlik customer. Deutsche Bank was one of the biggest QlikView customers at the time. And I also went back to college and started studying a master's in data analytics, which I completed in 2017, where I also left Deutsche Bank and I moved to Accenture and went back to being a Qlik partner. So Accenture being one of Qlik's biggest partners. And then 2018, got to go to London for the first time as a Qlik luminary, which was awesome, great fun. In 2019, I changed a role within Accenture and moved internal and became a Qlik customer again, because Accenture actually also one of Qlik's biggest customers, as well as being their biggest systems integrator. And we, within Enterprise Insight, we run a very large Qlik landscape and are doing some really interesting stuff with it. 2019, the end of last year, I also got to go to, unfortunately missing a trip to London, I got to go to the IEEE Viz conference and present some of the findings that I'm going to talk about today. And we're now here in 2020, so it's been a long journey, and my love for pie charts has waxed and waned, but it's pretty up there. I quite like them now, and they are quite a useful thing, and I'll try and explain why. So let's have a look at why is this not going forward? Okay, so I'll just talk about some of the history briefly and some of my research, and then where do we go from there? Okay, so there's a lot of background history into pie charts, which some of you may or may not be aware. It's quite an interesting thing. So if I go way back to the Middle Ages, and I'll just pick out a couple of characters, one called Ramon Lull, who was a Catalan, and was also written about as Raymond Lully in some English texts as well. Very famous theologian, and he was also tried to convert a lot of Moorish people to Christianity, which ended up being stoned in North Africa and eventually dying from those things. Nobody says the stoning was anything to do with anyone's hatred of pie charts, but you never know. But he did use a lot of these kind of circles with segments to present a lot of his stuff. Somebody who learned from him and later published a lot of his own stuff in pie format was really interesting. A guy called Giordano Bruno, and he used these segments and circles to present a lot of information. He eventually got burnt at the stake for being a heretic, but that's also probably not a commentary on his use of pie charts, probably. Just move on again. So bring it up a little bit closer to time. I know a lot of you will have heard of William Playfair. So William Playfair was the first person to actually publish a pie chart in the demonstrating numeric data. Now, he's a very interesting background, including being a bit of a CAD and apparently been involved in the storming of the Bastille during the French Revolution and lots of interesting things, but then became an economics writer. His background was religious, though, because his father was a Scottish Presbyterian minister, and his brother was also a minister and a famous mathematician. So he published a pie chart actually to represent in the chart on the bottom left there, Turkey, because a lot of the countries that he was talking about in these economic data might have had one kind of territory, or like a European territory, or two territories, but Turkey actually had three, because they had a European territory, they had an African territory, and they had an Asian territory, and he put that in a pie. And that probably wasn't so unusual for him, but nobody else really worked out. Interesting from a data point of view, or data literacy point of view, he had to actually publish instructions on how to read line charts in some of his publications, which a lot of us would just take for granted now. Florence Nightingale famously used a variant of the pie to represent deaths in the Crimean War, to make her point that actually more soldiers died from infection than from their wounds. And Charles Joseph Maynard, who had been lauded by luminaries such as Edward Tufte for the greatest data visualization ever, being the march to Moscow by Napoleon, and you should look it up if you can find it. But he also drew some pie charts as well. So this particular one that I have on the screen shows the where the location of beef coming to the Parisian market was from, and different the pies were used to show the different breeds. And in fact, the French quite liked pie charts, even though they weren't widely adopted in the UK after Playfair invented them. But they, of course, didn't call them pie charts; they called them the Camembert chart, because it's much more relevant to them. Now, if we move into the early 1900s, this is the beginning of what seemed to be 100-year war about pie charts. But so we had this guy called Willard Brinton, and he was very anti-pie charts. He wrote in his book about them being terrible, and you should use horizontal bar charts instead. And then, in fact, chaired a committee of the American Statistical Society that also published similar guidance to statisticians. But one of their members, Walter Ells, he did some actually empirical work where he took some pie charts and he took some bar charts, and he asked students to estimate the size of the pies segments and the bar segments, and using a common the mean error, or mean absolute error, he found that people made less mistakes with the pie charts. So that was kind of interesting. But actually, there was a lot of then academic debate. If I go a little bit further again, a lot of you will have heard of Edward Tufte as someone who is well known in data visualization. He wrote his famous book in 1983 about the visual display of quantitative information, and doesn't like pie charts. And Stephen Few, who on the other side, who I mentioned before, I heard as a keynote speaker at the Qlik conference, he also doesn't like pie charts very much, and in fact is quite vociferous about not liking them, and has written quite a lot about them. In the middle there, I've talked about Ian Spence. So Spence and Lewandowski wrote a paper in '91 where they suggested that the traditional prejudice against pies is misguided. So this is not a new prejudice. This has been ongoing for 100 years. And they brought in this concept where they suggested that pie charts might have an advantage over bar charts in that they have these perceptual anchor points at the kind of, if you think about the 0, the 25%, the 50%, and the 75%, they're very obvious points which allow people to maybe judge the size of segments. We don't actually know still, but we can do some experimentation. And that's what I did. So I kind of thinking about all of the things that are being written and what people were saying. And I heard then, that Few and Tufte, their work was not actually even researched. It was pretty much their own opinion, and self-published in Tufte's case anyway. So I thought, well, maybe I'll do a little bit of research. So from 2016 onwards, I did a few experiments using Amazon Mechanical Turk, where I presented some charts to people. So I used my friendly copy of QlikView to generate a few charts with different segment sizes, and so I tried just a plain pie chart. I tried a pie chart with the actual visual cues of the 0, 25, 50, and 75 called out, and also then a plain bar chart and bar charts with 25% segments, so quartiles, and also bar charts with the deciles, the 10% segments, kind of with a light indication of them, which you can see on the screen. And I presented these to Turkers on Amazon Turk and asked them what's the size of the shaded segments. It's a simple question, took them a couple of seconds. I paid them all 5 cents out of my own money each for their hard work, and probably isn't a lot, but it's more than a lot of them get. I kind of sat on the information for a while, and then eventually decided to write a paper, and that got accepted to the IEEE Viz conference last year. So, just go back one. So, just looking at the results. So, first of all, I confirmed Walter L's results from 1926 that the mean absolute error from a normal pie and a normal bar with no other indications is better. So people make less error judging the segment size of a bar or pie chart than they do on a bar chart. This presentation here, you can see on the screen, there's a line, and the line is the actual mean absolute error, and then the whiskers on either side are the 95% confidence intervals in that value. And so you can see if the confidence intervals don't overlap, you can say with some confidence, this is a paper from Cummings, who, if you're interested about new statistics, so if the intervals don't overlap, you can say with some confidence that that's a significant result. So the pie is better than the baseline bar, okay? So if I take then the different bars and I look at them, so the baseline bar, the one with the quartile cues, and the one with the decile cues, so the every 10%, you can see if people get the 10%, they're actually way more accurate. Again, the quartile cues don't really make a big difference to the bar. So it could be that we're quite good at judging that half and quarter anyway with the bar. We don't get much benefit, but we get way more benefit with those little decile cues. Excuse me. But actually with the quartile cues on the pie chart, you don't get much benefit from them either. Okay, so there's no significant difference. So I can say with some confidence that, yeah, there probably is those, people do pick out those cues to help them judge with pie charts, and that's why they're actually reasonably good at judging the size of segments. But Stephen Few in his book says the thing about bar charts that people always compare them, they never compare with the scale, you know, and that's the thing with bar charts, they have a scale beside them usually, not always. So we can actually see that actually if I give the Turkers the scale, they actually get way more accurate again, okay? So you can see the violin chart on the left, that the actual error from between the baseline bar with the quartile cues and then with the decile cues and onto the bar with the actual scale diminishes rapidly. And then if I'm looking across all of my results, you can definitely see that a bar with a scale performs way better than any type of thing. But, you know, the bar with the scale is not always the appropriate thing to use in a visualization. So if I go back to Minard's graphic with the pie charts on the map of France, it wouldn't really be appropriate to put lots of bars with scales on there. So a pie chart probably is the right choice there. So, you know, there is actually no reason to dismiss the use of a pie chart in all circumstances. So, you know, so the advice I gave a couple of years ago when I talked about my fundamental rules, which I called Redmond's rules, are we should think about this thing. Okay, so Robert Kazar wrote a paper called An Empire Built on Sand, where he says, look, a lot of these rules that we know, so these are rules about data visualization, a lot of them aren't actually empirically tested. A lot of them are driven by opinion or what people think, and then they convince other people, and you get a swell of belief. There is a lot of people in the data visualization community who believe that pie charts are bad and should never be used. There may be some people on the call here who believe that and still believe that. That's okay, but you have to understand that a lot of these beliefs are not actually based on any testing. So they need to be tested, and that's kind of what I did there. I don't know if you've ever listened to there's a podcast called Data Stories, which is really cool. So Michelle Borkin, who's quite an active researcher in this area, she appeared on that, and she said this thing, if you put a title on your graph, if you annotate the important things, label your axes, pick the appropriate visual encodings, okay, whatever's the right one, and people will understand your visualizations. It's not always true, because we know that there is still a big problem with data literacy. People don't always understand data, but if you give them these labels, if you encode things correctly, you're giving yourself a better chance. So that's my rules that I wrote back in 2016. So use the right visual variable, provide context with annotations. And then my last rule, now I wrote this I write this usually somewhat flippantly as SFW, but this is an Accenture presentation, so I can't write that in. So you can guess what the F stands for. And that comes to me from some time ago. I prepared a QlikView dashboard for a CIO of a very large UK retailer. And I'd spent a lot of time tweaking it, getting it exactly right, spending a lot of time on the technicalities. And I was really proud of myself that I'd, done such great stuff in QlikView, because, it wasn't a normal thing. And I showed it to him, and he looked at me and he said, so what? It wasn't showing him anything he needed to know. And that's the critical thing. Whatever you do, you need to make sure that you're hitting your audience, and you're making sure that that's, that's the most important thing, is who your audience is. And it's the same for storytelling. It's the same for everything. It doesn't change with visualizations. So that's kind of my story and where I'm coming to on this. And it's up to you guys, I guess, to think about that and make the right call. And don't always be driven by gurus and what they say. Think about it yourself. Think about what your users respond to, and give them what they need. One final call I will make to everyone on the call. There's a lot of data visualization people here. There's a group called Viz for Social Good that grew out of the Tableau community in the US, and now has a lot of people worldwide working on this. There's a few URLs there. I've also been working with Melissa Potvin, a lot of people know from the Qlik community, and Judy Kay, who's the executive director of Qlik.org, on this as well, to try and expand this into the Qlik community as well. But I would encourage people to get on the website and think about whether they can help out with this. There's a lot of people doing COVID visualizations at the moment, which that's great, but there's still lots of other people who could use our help to visualize. So what they do is they create visualizations for charities and for NGOs who can't afford to get a professional data visualization person, but they can use that visuals in their marketing or in their websites, etc. So have a look, think about it. If you've got some spare time at the moment, this would be a great place to use it. So that's the end of me, and take any questions now.
Well, thank you so much for that, Stephen. Interesting that you come up with the so what test at the end. I've heard that from a couple of Accenture people actually, and it is really important. I think it's one of the number one things that we can say at the end of a session with a CIO or anybody when we're handing back some data is, okay, does it pass the so what test? And just on the pie chart side of things, actually sometimes if there aren't too many segments, and there's at least one question around how many segments are too many segments, but if there aren't, they can actually help decorate a page, I think, and sometimes make the page look visually pleasing as well, which is quite important. It draws the eye to the visualization first of all.
It's a great question about the number of segments, okay? And I always used to say, what I used to call it was the low cardinality part-to-whole comparison. And then people would say, oh no, you should use a bar chart, and you see you've got the bigger bar and then the smaller bars, and you can read them. But when you've got lots of segments, it's usually that there's lots of small ones, and you can't see them on the pie chart. You can't see them on a bar chart either. You can only ever see the big one and the small next one down. So you might as well use a pie, and like you say, George, if it's gonna look nice. And business people, they like them.
They do. They definitely do. Okay, how are we doing for time, Brian? How long have we got for questions here?
I think we're doing okay. We've got another 5 minutes. I have one for Stephen though. I'd like to know where you stand, considering that Patrick isn't in the room. Where do you stand on spinning pie charts?
Well, actually, given what I've just said about being able to, if you can spin a segment around to kind of the 0 point, it allows you to see the size of that much easier. So I don't have a problem with spinning pie charts. And I used to always show them when I was selling QlikSense.
Yeah. I still remember the first time that I saw the spinning pie chart in the room going woo, and I'm sure that's what Patrick was going for at the time. But that's great insight.
There's a good point there as well, Stephen, from Steve Dark about the long tail in a Sense bar chart on the mini chart, where you get a chance to actually visualize where the data lies, but you don't really get that opportunity in a pie chart. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Well, it depends what your goal is, though. If it's a part-to-whole comparison, show the parts to the whole. You can then use a set maybe, and I've done. I publish stuff on my blog about dynamic pie charts and how to bring stuff together. Again, you can use set analysis and have like, here's the 2 big segments and here's everything else. So that others thing, it depends what's the goal, what's the business purpose. So if the purpose is to see this bit versus everything else, well, you're only really looking at this bit, and and seeing lots of small segments might be right, or seeing one big segment of others might be right. What's the business reason?
Okay, good response. Also like to say, Joe Warburton was so pleased with your presentation. I think there's now going to be a bigger VisLib focus now on pie charts.
Excellent. I saw his comments, and he was 35% more likely to use pie charts in future.
Yeah, there's a lot of adoration coming through here on the chat, which is fantastic. I don't think we're going to ask Scott's question about 3D pie charts, so we'll skim over that one. It's interesting because there's been a lot of people go, oh, don't use 3D because it distorts the image. But actually, I've heard someone else comment and said that would be right if humans had never seen anything in 3 dimensions before. We can actually. So Robert Kazara actually did a paper I had to follow him on stage at IEEE Viz. He did a paper about whether area is the thing that people understand. And when you put something in 3 dimensions, the actual area differences are discernible. So that was his point. So 3D mightn't be the worst thing in the world. I hate to say it, but it mightn't be. Fair enough. There's an infamous pie chart that I think was something that Steve Jobs came up with when he was showing how much market share the iPhone had, and I think it was something like 36% at the time. This was in the early days of the iPhone, but the way that he'd angled it, you were sort of looking down at the 35% segment, and it looked as if it filled the entire screen. It filled the 35% filled the entire screen. So it's obviously you can make these visualizations mislead if they're not used properly. So it's an interesting point about the using area as well.
Yeah, Yeah, and you can do that with scales on a line chart like Fox News used recently, where the scale just went up, which I called a fogarithmic because it fogs people's understanding.
Okay, well, we're doing not too bad for time. We're on the half past now. I think, Brian, we've got a slide just to finish up now, don't we?
Yeah. Thanks, George. I think we do. I'll just try and pop my screen up. So, cool. Sorry, Stephen, that's been you evacuated from the slides now. Sorry about that. So yeah, the Q&A for Stephen. So I think that was incredibly informative, and we're very lucky to have these two speakers to start off. But just want to really thank everyone for coming on the call. I know a few people had to drop off earlier, but we are not done, guys. Our next virtual meetup is already in the works, and the little Excel sheet there, I'll talk a little bit more about in a second. But just to kind of wrap up, we have a lot of interest, guys, and we'd love to get your feedback, which we'll talk about in just a second. But we plan to run these meetups every second Friday rather. We have a massive pool of speakers that want to be part of this. I mean, I think at last count there, you can sort of see on the spreadsheet, we've got well over 30 people who are interested, and we would welcome anyone who feels like they need a platform to stand on to tell the Qlik world or the data world about what they're doing. Please approach us about it. We'd love to hear from you as well. So this was episode 1. Episode 2, we have been planning hard for in the background, and episode 2, subject to confirmation, is going to be at exactly the same time on Friday, the 24th of April. So that'll be at 3 p.m. British summer time. And we have been working so hard in the background that we already confirmed a pretty massive keynote speaker. I don't know if it's as massive as Stephen or Elif. You can make your own judgment on that. But for our second session, we have Donald Farmer, who is the principal at Prehive Strategy. And if you know anything about or Qlik or data, you'll know who Donald is. And if you don't know who Donald is by that, you'll probably know who he is by that. So just a little bit of the background with Donald. We actually had him across for when we were running his Qlik Dev group about 2 years ago. We had an event in Scotland called Cleaning with Donald, which we had dinner with Donald Farmer, and we invited people over, and it was an incredible success at the time. Everyone wanted to know how we got him. But we're really pleased that Donald's agreed to keynote for us on the 24th. We probably will have another speaker as well, but we just wanted to give you something to let you get your teeth into until then. So we have already set up the registration for the WebEx. Andrew or George, I don't know if you can get that URL into the chat so that people can maybe just sort of click on it just now. But we're using a sort of TinyCC URL, and you'll see QVMS episode 2, what we're going for with Donald Farmer in 2 weeks' time. So I guess that's it from us today, guys. We ran pretty close to time there. We're at 4:33, which is not too bad British summer time. We had aimed to finish at 4:35, so we're right on the money. And thank everyone involved who got us to that point. Both in organising the meeting and making it run to time. Elif and Stephen have been, I think you'll agree, have been fantastic speakers, and we will pass on any presentations that we're allowed to, any questions we will pass back as well. And like you say, if you guys wouldn't mind, we'd love if you could just fill out like a quick survey to see how we did here and what you'd like to see in the next session. But aside from that, I'll just pass over to George and Andrew just to say a quick few words as well if they want to.
I'd just like to repeat thanks. Obviously, great summary, Brian, but it's really been special. Hopefully, the first of many.
Yep, same. Fantastic. As far as I'm concerned, I'm biased obviously, but this went really well. Can't wait for the next one in a fortnight. Hope to see you all there.
Great. And just a last goodbye from Sven as well. Have a very, very great, fantastic Easter. Appreciate we're all in lockdown, but have a marvellous one, and we look forward to hopefully seeing you in 2 weeks' time.
Thanks, guys, for organising.
Thanks very
you.
much, guys.
Thank
we
you.
appreciate it a lot.
Thanks, Stephen.
Thanks again, Stephen.
Thanks, Elif.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Brian, for organizing this.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, guys. I'm just going to give the recording a second, guys, just to see if there's any final questions or chats that come in at the end. So. Oh, George, you managed to get the Survey Monkey in there as well. Brilliant. Thanks.
No worries.
Do we have anyone left? I can see Erica. Oh, we still do have, yeah, 25.
Yeah, still here, guys.
Great.
Great session, really good. I don't know where an hour and a half went. It was just engaging all the way through. So, yeah, terrific.
We appreciate that a lot, Neil. We're, like I say, we're aiming to mix this up quite a bit as we go. So we will not be pure Qlik every time that we present. There will be lots of content for lots of different avenues. And everyone who wants to present, we have no problem with them doing it. We have a lot of interest, but we can run this for as long as people want us to. So it's exciting, and it's been a huge amount of fun to work with George and Andrew, and Carolyn and Gillian have been fantastic as well. Just getting everything up and running. So just great fun.
Brian, can you put the previous slide up, please, with the registration link?
Yes,
thank you.
I can.
Perfect. I put that in here as well now.
Sweet.
Thanks, George. I got the Survey Monkey one there.
Do you want me to? Oh, sorry. It's just a tiny CC George with 2 at the end, as the same as the first one. QVSM EP2. And do we still have any clickies left, Carolyn? Gillian, you still around?
I'm still here. I'm basically going to take a transcript of the chat so that we have it, and I can send that over as soon as the meeting's over. And then the recording should come hopefully in a couple hours. Sometimes it takes, a day or 2.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, guys, I'm going to drop off and do the survey and register for episode 2. Just to say thanks again and stay safe, and hopefully we'll see you soon. So you can spill a drink over me, Brian. Cheers.
Thanks, Neil.
Thanks, Neil. Appreciate that. Cheers.
Cheers.
See you soon.
Cheers. That was an awesome event, guys.
I think that went well. I think probably I would maybe put the link for the next session actually up front at the beginning. Maybe just get a link out there without revealing who it is, and we'll just get it into the chat, and then people can do it during the session if they want to. But hey, we all learn as we go, right?
Carolyn, this is still recording.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry, what was that?
It's still recording?
Yep, it should be. I can't see it, but Brian should be able to tell.
I think I'm safe to switch this off now, right?
I think so.
Okay. Okay, I'll now end the recording then, and we can talk offline. Okay.
Cheers. Thank you.